Hello. Good morning, everybody. We'll give it like 90 seconds before we truly start, just to give everybody another minute to get on board. Thank you all for coming this morning. Thank you. And I see already people are using the live chat, say nice things to each other on this fine, gray, drizzly morning. All right. Let's officially begin. So good morning, everybody. So I am Dina Taub. I direct marketing here at DES. I'm here with my colleague, Adam Edkins, who manages our security department. Adam is top of the class when it comes to knowing Genetec. He knows it inside out. He has so much to teach you today. Plus, you'll have access to this recording, so don't think you have to remember everything. You can always go back and follow along afterwards at your convenience in your own time. Okay, so just a little introduction about why we're here today. We call this Power Up because often when we give our solutions, we really want to make sure that we are empowering you to actually use the solutions as best as you can. And the best way to do that is through education and training. So this is our commitment to our clients that we are with you for the long haul and want to make sure that you are empowered and powered up. Okay, so if you have any feedback after this webinar, please be in touch with me. I will be sending out a poll with asking for some ideas for next time round, so I'd love to hear from you. I will also be emailing you, asking you for your mailing address because I have a stack, this mirror image for you, I'm not sure, of this book, Live Ready by Sam Rosenberg, who's based here in Pittsburgh, and it's a guide to protecting yourself in an uncertain world, and we like to support local business and make those connections. Okay. Lastly, if you do have questions today about what we are going through, you can always type it into the question tab, and either I will interject if it's appropriate, or at the end of the official demo, we can go through those questions with Adam. So without further ado, let's get started. So this is officially Power Up Genetec tips for K-12, but a lot of it, as you know, is applicable for other applications as well. But we're going to start off our series today with looking to a case study for a Genetec installation that we did for Central Valley School District. So before we show you that case study, Adam, welcome.
Yep.
Okay, Central Valley School District, is that typical of a school district? Is it unusual? Can you tell us a little bit about how it applies to any other school district?
Yeah, so they're spread out. They're not all on one campus. We originally went in and we worked on their milestone system. First, they decided to switch over to the Genetec platform for their cameras. So we went district-wide and switched over their cameras. Probably about 3 or 4 years ago, we did their first elementary school, Todd Lane. That site encompassed general access control on the external doors, which are going to be hardwired back to a regular panel like most installations. But then they also did something different there. They decided to do wireless locks on all of their classrooms. So by using Genetec, we can use different manufacturers, and it's all open system, so we can use a bunch of different manufacturers to suit the customer's needs. Now, slowly, we've been moving out to their other buildings. We just finished up Center Grange, and then in the future, we'll be doing the middle school and the high school as well.
So fairly typical in that they began somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And then steadily expanded.
Yep, and I do believe that they had different access control systems in all the different buildings. So now we're trying to unify everything under the one platform by using Genetec.
All right, so here I'm going to show you this wonderful case study video, and 3 minutes long, and then we'll dive into Genetec.
My name is Ed Eimiller. I'm the Director of Technology for the Central Valley School District. We have approximately 2,400 students, 300 staff members. There's 5,000 different parents that you may deal with on a day-to-day basis, 150 wireless door locks, 80 exterior wireless access doors, 250 cameras across 4 buildings. One of the challenges that we have, like any other school district, is the limited staffing we have in our IT department to maintain multiple systems. DES and Genetec were able to tailor a solution for us to unify video surveillance, door access, and other security-related reporting into the Genetec platform. Typical things that may happen on a day-to-day basis: do students get in an altercation, car accidents that may happen outside around the building, issues on the playground, door like propped open, wedged open when it shouldn't be, who is the last person to access that door so that we're able to question them and find out why the door was propped. Issues with adults that may come into the office with less than ideal attitudes. We use Genetec to do anything security related, whether that is visitor management. So when people check in to get their visitors badges or check out, you know exactly who's in the building, who isn't in the building. Our daily sign-in for staff, as opposed to staff signing a clipboard when they come in or punching a clock, they actually swipe a badge. My favorite feature of the Genetec system is the building maps and the area grouping. I'm able to pull a building map up, see all the cameras and doors that are in that specific area, and then search for events that happen in that area. When somebody triggers a building lockdown or some other type of building emergency, at the push of a button, Genetec will automatically go into whatever lock state or unlock state it needs to go into. It also gives us a real-time view of which doors are actually still open. Law enforcement has access to our Genetec system as well. They have access to the same maps, door states, and cameras that we have. It saves time not having to relay that information to law enforcement. They can just log into the mobile app on their own and see everything that we see. DES's techs are experts in Genetec, and Genetec software was flexible enough to adapt to the needs of our district, which are pretty unique, and I would think that all school districts have different unique needs. We've been a customer of D'Agostino Electronic Services since the year 2000, so that's going on 23 years. D'Agostino has done many different things for us, including structured cabling, phone system, data networks, security, audiovisual setups. They have a clear idea of some of the challenges schools have, specifically with staffing. Developing solutions that makes it easier for limited IT staffing to manage complex systems has been key. It's one of the reasons why we've worked with D'Agostino for the past 20 plus years, and we're looking forward to another 20.
Okay, all right, so there's a video I see in the chat. Some people didn't see it. That's interesting to me. I'd love to know why, but I see also some of you can see it. So I'm going to guess that maybe it's something on the far end side. So basically, it was a nice Genetec video showing a school district for those who can see it. All right, so the thing that struck out at me for that video is it's a school district with minimal staffing. That is the pervasive feeling. They had this giant thing, public safety issues, people coming in and out. And Genetec, it's if you could talk to that a bit about what the actual value of the Genetec unified platform is when it comes to staffing.
It definitely makes it easier for the customer to onboard new people into the system. Just for the fact that they're only training on one piece of software now. We don't have to worry about disparate access control systems between different buildings. We also don't have to worry about having different camera systems. It does make it easier for the IT department because now they only have one application that they need to maintain. But the other thing with it is it's also just the relationship with DES. For instance, if Ed has an issue with a camera not working or a door not working, he just submits a support ticket with us, and then one of our engineers will log in remotely, or if need be, go on the site to fix the issue.
All right, so let's get into it. Let's share your screen. Let's pull up Genetec and get some tips and tricks here. And I hope that people who could not see the video can see what Adam's going to show, because this is really the meatballs and spaghetti of the of the webinar.
All right, so I guess before I start, I have my screen shared. Can everybody see it at this point?
Yes. I see yeses, so I know that it is working. And if it doesn't work for you, there is a recording afterwards. You can go through afterwards. I say go ahead and dive in.
All right, so I'm going to take this from the perspective of just you've never seen Genetec before, and I'm just going to walk you through some basic features. I'm going to touch on some of the stuff that Ed talked about in the video as well. So the first place I'm going to start off with is the mapping feature of Genetec. So the map is a physical representation of all the different entities in the system. An entity can be a camera, it can be a door, it can be an alarm panel, it can be motion sensors. So we have a couple things up on the screen right now. We have our doors, we have our cameras, and then we also have motion sensors that are part of our Berg system. And then we actually have the Berg system right here as well. So the first thing with your alarm system is it's fully integrated into Genetec. So we can get alarms that happen after hours in an alarm report. We can also arm and disarm the system right here from the map. Also, you can see that just popped up. This is live, so that's actually showing that one of the motion sensors was active on the second floor of the building, so it shows up in real time. Likewise, we also have camera controls up on the screen. So I can bring up a camera, I can move it around the map, I can also interact with the playback directly from the map. Another thing we can do is we can interact with a door. So right here, if I right click on this door and I go to door, I can choose unlock. So this would be simulating somebody coming up and presenting their fob or card to the door. So it would unlock the door for 5 seconds and then relock it back down. And then we also have our override schedules here as well. So for instance, this payroll office door is always locked in our system, but if we needed to, I could come in here, say I want to unlock it for the next 5 minutes, or I could actually come down here and set it an absolute time. So say I wanted to unlock it from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock today. Another option you have is unlock for maintenance. That will basically take this door out of its schedule, and it'll remain unlocked until someone comes and takes it out of maintenance mode. This could be a good feature. Say you have an event at your school and you don't necessarily have the ability to edit the schedule for the door. You could come in and just unlock it for maintenance, and then you could take it out as well. And everything I'm showing you here, we also have this same controls in the mobile app and then also the web client. Today's webinar is just going to be focused strictly on security desks though. So we can quickly switch floor plans by just up at the top of the screen. We can switch between the second floor, the basement, and then here's the external. So ours here at our office, we're actually using Google Maps, but you could also use just a Google image or any type of floor plan for the mapping feature. So the next thing I want to talk about is the monitoring task. The monitoring task is where we can interact with doors. This is where we can view playback, make exports. So I'm going to show a couple things inside of here. So by default, when you open up a monitoring task, it's going to look like this. It's basically going to give you a 2x2 view. Over on the left-hand side of the screen, this is referred to as our area view. This is the logical structure of your system. So you can see that we have D'Agostino Electronic Services. If I expand that, I have my alarm panels, my cameras, my doors, my LPRs, which are my license plate readers. We have our maps as well. So at any time, a operator can change the layout of a monitoring task. So down here at the bottom of the screen, I have this icon that says change tile pattern. When I click on that, I get a couple different options. I can hit more, and it'll even give me more options. So say I want something like this one right here with 5 up on the screen. I just click on it and it's going to automatically change over. Now you do also have the ability to go in and, oops, let me hide that, edit patterns, and you can actually create your own. So say I want something unique. We'll go 4 by 3, but then I want to have a big camera up here in that corner, and perhaps maybe I want another one like that. And then I can press save, and I now have that option of that view that I just created on the fly. So for the purposes of this, I'm going to switch back to a 2 by 2, and let's bring in a couple cameras. So we'll bring in our south entrance, we'll bring in the north entrance, right there, and that's good enough. So over on the left-hand side, you could always hide your area view to get more screen real estate. And one thing you're going to notice is anytime I click on one of these cameras, you get this yellow bounding box around the camera. This is signifying this is the entity that you are currently interacting with. And over on the right-hand side of the screen, these are the controls for that specific type of entity. Now, let me show you the difference. I'm going to bring in a door as well. So we'll bring in the north tower. So when I'm clicked on just the camera, you can see that we get camera controls over here on the right. So this is our playback. This is visual tracking, exports, snapshot, going to a specific time, and creating a bookmark. And I'm going to show all this in a moment. But if I switch over to a door, you can see that we get some different controls up here in the top right. I can see that this door is closed, but is unlocked right now. I can also go in and put it into maintenance mode or do a temporary override. These are the same menus that we saw when we were back on the map task before. I'm going to show a feature right here real quick that corresponds with the maps, and you can do this with a single monitor, but it works way better if you actually have 2 monitors hooked up to your computer. But say I have this camera up on the screen right here and I'm looking at it on the map. If I take my mouse and hover over the name, it's going to turn into a little hand icon. I can click, drag it up onto a task, and actually drop it into a window right there. So imagine you have a blank 2 by 2 up on one monitor and you have a maps on the other monitor. You can quickly drag your entities to view them in an easier way. On any of the cameras, you can double click and that'll actually make the camera go up full speed. Cameras support digital zoom, so I'm just doing that by zooming in with my mouse wheel, and I can move this around. To get out of that, I just take my mouse wheel all the way back out, or you can hit this little X right here, which is going to take it back out to the full view. If I double click again, it's going to bring it back down. Let's get rid of that camera. Another thing that we can do, and I'm going to bring up hallway, and we'll bring this camera in down here. So some of you guys have fish eyes in your system. Basically, it gives you an overview of the entire room. But what these cameras support is something called digital PTZ. So if I take my mouse wheel in and start moving it around the screen, it actually de-warps that camera. Now, you could do all this after the fact in Playback as well, so this is not limited to just live viewing. Now, let's say I want to browse these cameras. I want to look at the recorded video on them. So first thing I'm going to do is down here at the bottom, this is my time bar. So I can zoom in and zoom out on this time bar to get more granular or see a bigger amount of time. And let's say I want to go right there real quick to 11:16. So you can see that this camera is 2 minutes ago, but all these other cameras on the screen are actually live. Now, if you're doing an investigation, you don't want to have to worry about going to each individual camera and dragging it to the same exact time to view something. Instead, since I'm clicked on this camera, remember I have my yellow bounding box around it, I can come down here in the bottom and press Synchronized Video. So now everything I have up on the screen is synchronized to the exact same time. So if I go on this camera, move it back, it's going to move other cameras as well and move it back. Now, likewise, I can come down here and work on another camera and move that as well. This camera doesn't record, so I'm just going to take it off the screen. Another feature is some of your guys' systems, not everybody in your system can actually export video. And instead of me having to tell, hey, security, I need you to look on the first floor Bosch AI camera on a certain day and certain time for something. Instead, what we could do is create a bookmark in the system. So let's say we see something right here and we want to make other people aware of it. We can create a bookmark one of two ways. I can simply just hit the B key, B for bookmark, and that's basically going to add a bookmark to the timeline. It's going to give the camera name, the operator that made it, and then the time that it's happening. So I'm just going to write webinar demo and press OK. So what it's going to do is it's actually going to place this little bookmark down here at the bottom of the screen on the time bar. And if you hover over it, it'll say who made it and when. But that's not how I expect people to find the bookmarks. Instead, we have a bookmark report. This bookmark report, I'm just going to run it real quick against everything in our system and look for bookmarks within the last day. Press generate report. And we can see here's that one that I just created, the webinar demo. So if I double click on that, it's going to bring up the video right here and start playing the video before the bookmark actually took place. So now we'll jump back over to monitoring. Now, if I want to bring everything back to live, because right now I'm still in playback mode, I could just hit this icon right here to switch to live, or we can do the same thing over here on the right-hand side of the screen in the controls. So we'll bring everything back to live now. Now, another way that you can browse to find an event in the past, this is good on the time bar down at the bottom if you just got to go back within the same day. But let's say I want to look at video from a week ago. You're not going to sit here and drag this to a week ago. Instead, over on the controls, we have this clock looking icon that is go to specific time. So I'm going to click on that icon, and up here on the left on the calendar, any day that is green means there's videos recorded at that point, and then this on this part of the screen is corresponding to that day. Now, here's that bookmark I created a couple seconds ago, and it shows up here as well. So let's say we want to go back to January 25th at roughly 7:30 in the morning. So now we can see that we are at January 25th, and we can now browse the video here as well. Now, you have a couple ways of getting video evidence off of the system. The first one I showed you was being the bookmark, which will basically place a tag on it so that you can export or do a screenshot at a later date. Or let's say we need to make an export right here. The easiest way to do this is on the time bar, just right click, and you're going to get these brackets. Now, I'm saying everything in between these brackets is what I want to actually export off of the system. So now that I have that marked, I'm going to come over on the right-hand side of the screen, and we have the disk-looking icon that says Export Video. Now, when I click on this, I'm going to get two different options. I'm going to get Export Video and Export Video from all tiles. If I choose Export Video, it's just going to give me this one camera during that time. But if I choose Export Video from all tiles, it'll give me everything that I have currently up on the screen during that time. So for the purposes of this, I'm just going to hit Export Video. By default, it's going to name the file, basically the name of the camera and the date and time of the beginning of the export. Where it's going to save, it's going to save to the vault, which is a location on the workstation that you are running Security Desk on. We have a couple different options for our file format. G64X is the default one, and that's what I recommend using. That's Genetec's proprietary format. It'll hold up in a court of law. The other benefit of it is it can actually export multiple cameras into one file. So you don't have to worry about having multiple different exports, say if you were doing 3 different cameras here. And then we can write a description down here as well. So I'm going to hit export. Up at the top of the screen right here, we see it's processing that export. If I click on it, I can see the process in real time. And now that that video has been exported, I can get to it by down here in the bottom right of my screen, it says open the vault. And this right here is where all of your video exports as well as all of your snapshots will be saved. Now at this point, I can double click on this and it'll actually start playing that exported video over here in an open tile. If I didn't have a monitoring task up, it would have brought up its own monitoring task to play back that video. Now, the only way that a G64X type of export can be played back is if the person receiving the export has security desk, or you have the option of packaging it with a Genetec video player. This is an application that does not require being installed. It runs. And the other nice thing about this is whenever we package this all together, it gives the user manual. So you don't even need to explain to whoever you're giving the export to how to use the program. It walks you right through it. To delete an export, all you have to do is right click on it and press delete. And now it's off of my computer. Now it's not letting me do it because I had it open right there on the screen. And now it's allowing me to delete the export. So another feature that I want to show you guys is something called visual tracking. And we're going to do it. I'm going to start off on, let's start off on the main entrance. So in order to turn visual tracking on, and what this is helpful for is following someone from one camera to the next, and this kind of goes hand in hand with incident recording. So first thing I'm going to do is show you how to turn on incident recording. I'm going to right click in the tile and I'm going to say start incident recording. So now everything that shows up on the screen is going to be marked into one export. So next thing is I'm going to hit these feet looking icons over on the right to enable visual tracking. Now I can click through these areas and it'll actually take me through the cameras. So I could quickly follow somebody by just clicking on these different areas, come back out, come down the hallway.
And if there was a person there, it would recognize a figure and track them?
Yep. So like say I needed to follow somebody through the hallway, I could easily do that by just clicking through these cameras. Now that I've finished my incident tracking, I'm going to right click. I'm going to say stop incident recording. So what you could see here is each time I had those cameras up on the screen, it marked that portion for export. So a lot of the time, say you're investigating something across multiple cameras, in other video management systems, you would basically export the total time for all of those cameras, which is going to be a lot more space and it's going to be more difficult to share that. And then plus you're going to be looking through a bunch of video that you don't necessarily need. So at this point, I'm just going to save this. We'll call this webinar and I'm going to press create. Now, if I go into, where are you? Incident. Open up an incident report. And I will load that incident that I just created. Come on. And as you can see, it's playing through the first camera that we started off, and I'm not going to watch all of them, but I'll show you guys how it's going to switch over to the next camera in a minute. So now it's switched over to the stairwell and so on and so forth. So this makes it very easy to follow somebody whenever we set up visual tracking on your system. So we will get out of that at this point, and we will come back to the monitoring task. To turn off visual tracking, I just hit the feed.
Adam, a quick question. Can you do that tracking without recording it?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So right now, I'm not doing my incident tracking. I'm not doing my incident recording. You can see that it's off. And I can turn on visual tracking again, click on this, and I can navigate through the cameras once again by just not having the incident recording going. Yep. So your other option is, say you don't need to export video. Maybe you just need a screenshot of what's on the screen right now. That's what this icon right here is, save a snapshot. So if I click on that, it's going to save a snapshot to the same place that our video export went to our vault. So if I just open that up, at this point, you could print this off, send this in an email, and it's going to by default open up in whatever your default photo program is on your computer. Another nice thing over here is the search bar. I don't know how much you guys use this, but I use it all the time. You can just type a portion of a word and it's basically going to return anything with that in the name. So real quick, I just typed EXT for exterior and now I can see all my external cameras and doors. You can also close it to get rid of everything. So the next thing I want to show is door activities report. We can use this to see activity on a specific door, and then we can also use this to track an individual. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on our main entrance. So I'm just going to type in main, and I'm going to select the main entrance. And first thing I'm going to show is I'm just going to leave all the events on, and we're just going to look at everything that's happened within the last hour. I'm going to press generate report, and up here at the top of the screen, we can see all the different events that are happening on that door. So we see access granted, we see the door opened. Since we had an access granted and then a door opened, it's assuming that somebody actually came in, so that's why we're getting an entry detected. You have your request to exit, so that's the request to exit sensor on the inside of the door. And we're seeing all that different information. But let's say all we're really concerned about is we just want to see access granted, access denied. We don't really care about when every time the door opened or we saw request to exits. So what we can do is down here at the bottom, we're going to turn on events and we're going to look at access granted, access denied, and we're going to rerun that report. So now at this point, we only have 2 results coming back. So if I were to double click on this event, it's actually going to load up the video from cameras that are corresponding with that door. Now, anytime that you see a little eyeball right here, that means that there are multiple cameras associated with that door. So at this point, I could switch it to the inside camera.
Right, and then do your visual tracking.
Yep, and then you could turn on visual tracking here as well, and then I could also start following him. And the other nice thing is if I really wanted to, I could do start incident recording directly from this door activities report. Now, let's look at this from the other way. Let's not say I'm not concerned about everybody that came in on the main entrance, but instead, let's say I want to see everywhere that I went today, everywhere I went today. So we'll switch it to day. I selected D'Agostino Electronic Services, so that's basically encompassing every single door in the system. We're going to keep it on access granted, access denied, but this time we're going to turn on the card holders. So from here, you could search for somebody. So I'm going to select myself, and I'm going to rerun that report. So from here, you can see everywhere that I carded in through a different door today. So I went into the main entrance, I went into the security room, and then I've been in the payroll office. Likewise, if I double click on this event, it's going to give me the corresponding video of that event as well. Now, if you have a report like this up on the screen and say you need to get this off to somebody, you don't necessarily need to give them video or anything like that. You just want to give them basically the times that the individual went into the building. You can come up here and you can hit export report. And you have a couple different options here as well. We can do an Excel, a CSV, or a PDF. So we'll do PDF real quick to show you guys what that looks like. Now that I've exported it, this is actually a hyperlink that I can actually click on it and drag that over onto the screen. And basically it's going to give you all those events, and it's up here at the top. It's telling you who made the export, the name of the export, how many results there were, and then what doors we're actually looking at. And then you get their pictures and all the information directly in here. So then you could print this off or email this to whoever you need to. So another feature that I don't believe any of you guys utilize now, and this requires a camera license in order to do it. So I'm going to bring up, so right now it's offline. So on my phone, by using the Genetec mobile app, let me just log in on my phone real quick. I'm going to turn my stream on. So this would be very useful for, say, one of the police officers or SROs at one of the schools. Say you need to go investigate a fight that's currently happening or some type of issue, and there's not a camera around. I could actually turn my cell phone into a camera that is going to record into Genetec. Now, also, I created an alarm that anytime mobile video started from my phone, it created an alarm in the system, and that's what you're seeing on the screen right now. It brought up alarm monitoring, and we could have that alarm go to whoever in the system. That alarm can pop up on their screen automatically. It could also send out an email. It's pretty limitless what we can do with that. Then at this point, I can stop the stream on my phone. And now the video has stopped here. And the nice thing is that you can actually play all that back right after the fact. And if I needed to, I could come in here, make an export, and do whatever you needed to do with it. So we'll get out of that. So we talked about the door reports. Alarm reports is basically just looking at all of the alarms that happened in the system. So for instance, if I unfilter this and let's say I want to look at mobile video started by me, generate the report. Here's every single time that that alarm went off in the system. So I could click on one of these to see that previous alarm that came in and see the corresponding video of it. We talked about the bookmarks, creating the bookmarks within inside of a monitoring task and then running a report on them to see them right here. Now, another feature that none of you guys have right now is LPRs. So LPRs are license plate recognition cameras. It is the only camera that Genetec actually makes, but they do support third-party cameras as well, but they're not going to be as feature-rich. This is doing a lot more than just capturing what's on the plate. It's actually reading the plate. We can run queries on license plates and everything like that. You can also set up hot lists. So say you had this at the entrance of one of your schools and you have a parent that shouldn't be coming to pick up a child. You could put their license plate on a hot list, and as soon as they drive onto the property, it can generate an alarm and alert the SROs in real time that somebody is on site that shouldn't be there. Another feature that you can use with the LPR with license plates is you could actually use a license plate as a credential in your access control system. So say you have a gate or a garage door, you set up an LPR, and as soon as it reads that plate, it knows that person's allowed to come in, and it'll actually grant access to that gate or door. So what I'm going to do right here is we have 3 LPRs here at our office, 2 on our main road and 1 on our side road. I'm going to select my LPR area where I have all my cameras in, and I'm just going to look over the last hour. I'm going to press generate report. So what we're seeing here is we're getting the license plate with the plate image. It gives us a context image, so what the car actually looks like. And then it's going to give us a whole bunch of other information. It's going to tell us the vehicle color, the vehicle make, the type of vehicle. It even gives us which way it's going. Is it moving towards us? Is it moving away? And this all depends on the version of the SharpX camera. Some have more features for vehicle identification, and then some have less. Another thing is, let's say we know we caught a portion of a license plate, but we didn't get the whole number. and we want to see when that car drove through here. So I'm just going to use right here. So I'm looking at this one, LJK. I'm going to turn on license plates. I'm going to switch this to partial, and we will do LJK. Press generate report, and now anything with LJK in it within the last hour is going to show up on the screen right here. Let's just try real quick. Let's look over the last week, see if this car came through here multiple times. So you can see we're getting a bunch more results now. But that's how easy it is to actually interact with the license plate and look up license plates. The next thing I want to show you guys is how we integrate alarm panels into Genetec. So right here, these are our 3 areas. This is one Bosch system that we have in our office, but we have an area for the basement, first floor, and second floor of the building. Right here, I can arm by clicking on this, and I could actually arm that intrusion area. Another thing with having it integrated in is we can actually disarm a system whenever you come up and card read into the building. So say I come in my main entrance and I don't need to worry about actually going over to the keypad and typing in my code to disarm the building. Immediately when I card in at that main entrance, it's going to disarm the first floor. If I go down to the basement in my office, it'll disarm the basement area, and then likewise up on the second floor. Then whenever you're leaving at the end of the day, you could just go up to the alarm keypad and arm the entire building, but you also have this same exact controls directly through the mobile app as well. That's what a couple of our customers do. He just arms his building at night from his mobile app, and he never actually has to go up to a keypad. Because even when they come in the morning, like I said, as soon as they do an access granted on one of the doors, it disarms their alarm keypad for them. Let me look back at the list real quick, see if there's anything else that I missed. Card holders. So a card holder is anybody that has a credential in the system, and we can basically handle card holders one of 2 ways. If there's an Active Directory integration, we can automatically pull from your Active Directory. That's something I would work with the IT to set up. The benefit of something like that is, say you fire somebody. Obviously, probably the first people that are going to know is HR, and they're going to let IT know to deactivate their account. As soon as they deactivate their Active Directory account, it'll actually deactivate their card holder with inside of Genetec, and if they're also using an Active Directory account to actually log into Security Desk or Config Tool or the mobile app, it'll shut that all off simultaneously. But not every system has everybody in Active Directory, so you can also create card holders with inside of Genetec, and you can have a mix of both, or you can just do strictly Active Directory, or you can manage it directly from Genetec. So to create a card holder, we go into the card holder management task. Right here, it's going to list everybody in our system. We can see if they're disabled, there'll be a different color, and it'll actually show that they're disabled here on the screen. But let's say I want to create a new person. I'm going to hit new over here, give them a name. So we'll do John Smith. Assign them to a card holder group. Now, if you are familiar with creating card holders, one thing to note about this, so say I create somebody here and I place them into sales, and then I save and close this and I go and create another card holder, they're going to default to the last card holder group that you created prior to this. So this is something always to check up here. And the card holder group is going to dictate what doors during what times that individual can actually gain access to the building. To add a picture to the card holder, you can do it a couple different ways. You can load from a file. So if you have a JPEG, PNG, you can just search for it on your computer and upload it to it. If you have a webcam attached to the computer that you're doing it with, and I don't think it's going to work right now because I'm using my camera to do this video, but it would actually come up here on the screen. You could press take snapshot, and now that picture will be associated with that card holder. To add a credential to somebody, you have a couple different options here as well. Automatic entry is used for if you have a USB enrollment device attached to your workstation. It's basically a card reader that attaches to your computer that you can just present a card to and it will automatically enroll it. Or if you don't have one of those, you can actually do it from a door. So for instance, if I did this, it shows the payroll office. As soon as I present a card at that door, it's going to automatically enroll it for me. The other option that you have is existing credential. So these are credentials that have at one point were assigned to somebody, but now they've been unassigned from them. So they're available to repurpose. So if you're using fobs, you're not, obviously, if you fire somebody, you're probably not going to discard that. You could reuse it later for somebody else. But if you are direct printing onto a card, obviously you're going to destroy that card after the fact and you're not going to need it in this existing credentials anymore. Now, for the next thing, I am just going to switch over to myself. So right now, this is getting pulled in from Active Directory. That's why I don't have the option to deactivate right here, but I could do an override, and this status right here is pertaining to the card holder. So if I deactivate this and then press save down here, now my credentials are shut off in this system. If I go up to a door, it's going to deny me access. We'll reactivate that real quick. And we'll say keep synchronized. So now I reactivated my profile. Now my cards will start working again. Down here are the multiple different credentials that I actually have associated with myself. I carry a couple different key fobs. I have one on the back of my phone. I keep one in my wallet. That way I always have different options in case I forget something. Now, say I lost one of my credentials. I'm not going to deactivate up here because I'm still an employee here. I don't need to shut off all my access. I just need to kill the one card that I actually lost. So in order to do that, I would go to the credential that I lost. I'll hit edit here. And then over here are these statuses. If I choose inactive, lost, or stolen, it's basically going to shut that card off and deny access. But the reason that you have a couple different options there is you can create different events if you find a lost card, a stolen card, and then we'll also see that represented in the door activities of the cardholder activities report. So let's say that I lost this credential. I will save that. You can see back on the main screen right here, it's now went to a lost state, but then say I find my credential. You can hit edit again and you can reactivate that credential and press save.
Cool. So Adam, I'm thinking like maybe one last point to discuss before we open up to questions is about emergencies and threat levels. And this kind of feeds into those like mission control or standard operating procedures. I'm going to post a poll as well. And your idea is for next time around, whether you want to dig into mission control or the license plate that Adam was talking about, or more about Active Directory or this type of thing. So if you could just start talking about emergency situations.
Yep. So the way that that's handled inside of Genetec, it's called threat levels. I've set these up for several school districts. I know Upper St. Clair uses this extensively. Basically, what we can do with a threat level is we can tie this in with physical buttons. So in an office, you could have an emergency button that when that input goes active, we can change behavior within inside of the Genetec system. Now, it also doesn't need to be a physical button. Directly here in Security Desk, this little siren up at the top, this is my threat levels. So I could switch to an active shooter, a suspicious person, so on and so forth here. And basically when we turn that on, it's going to change the behavior of the system. You can also trigger threat levels directly from the mobile phone as well through the app. And for the purposes of this, I'm going to bring over config tool real quick and open up a threat level configuration. So the color here basically corresponds to, if I were to activate that threat level, the entire outside border of security desk will turn red. So it gives you a visual representation that, hey, I'm in a threat level. Other things that we can do with it. So when the threat level activates, I could add a bookmark automatically. I could arm a zone in an intrusion panel. I could set all my cameras to record 30 frames per second continuously instead of, say, they were set up on motion at a lower frame rate. I can do what's called set minimum security clearance. And the way that this works is, say we have all of our SROs as a security clearance 1. That means they can get in during any type of threat level. But say teachers are by default in Genetec, our minimum security clearance is 7. So at that point, whenever I set this and say I put it down to 1, only people that have security clearance 1's cards will actually work on the readers during that threat level. So something like that, we can restrict, say, teachers from going into an office whenever there's an active shooter or something like that. Or likewise, say that active shooter grabbed one of the teacher's cards. Now they're not going to be able to physically go around to any door within the building. They'll actually be denied access. And then basically down here at the bottom, these are our deactivations. So basically we just create opposites of, if we were unlocking doors or locking doors, we can create the opposite here, that when the threat level becomes deactivated, this is what happens. We can also send out alarms in the system. We can send emails stating that we're in a threat level. And then on the deactivation, we can send another email saying the threat level has been cleared at that point.
Okay, so I'm not sure if you can see the poll yet. I haven't quite tested out this feature. So if you do see the poll, please vote. Otherwise, I'm going to open up for questions now. Ask a question. So a little earlier, someone here wanted to actually see the visual tracking with a person.
Okay.
Because that was actually kind of fun.
All right, so the easiest way to do that is, let's go to Door Activities and choose Mark, because I know he came upstairs. Let's switch this to the inside camera. And I'll turn on visual tracking, and we'll give him a couple seconds to come in. All right, so here he is coming in. Eventually. There he is. So then at this point, I'm going to click here to go to this camera. So he should be coming up here any second. I can increase this, make them go a little quicker. Click in there. Should be appearing here in a second, and he's going to go over here to the left. So that's how we can actually follow somebody, by using visual tracking. Oops, I have that camera associated wrong.
Cool.
Okay.
Another thing I was wondering is the integrations that you can put into Genetec. So I was thinking building intelligence, as buildings become smarter with all these other applications, can you use Genetec as your one-stop shop dashboard for other things as well?
So we actually, we use a device. It's called a Halo Smart Sensor. It's basically an environmental device, but a lot of school districts have been placing them in bathrooms because they can actually detect vape, THC, smoking. But the other place that we've used them, we actually use them down at the National Aviary for that project here in Pittsburgh. They actually use it to monitor the like CO2 levels, the temperature, humidity in a couple of the habitats. I've also seen customers place these in boiler rooms to maintain, to be able to monitor the temperature in that. I've also seen it in like IT rooms. So if you want to make sure your IDFs and MDFs are running at the appropriate temperature, you can do that. Now, I don't have one here in the office, so I can't demo it within Genetec right now for you guys, but I could definitely, if we do another webinar in the future, I'll make sure I have one here so we can walk through that. But basically, you could set up alarms that if THC is detected, if we go over a certain temperature, if we go under a certain temperature, it can create an alarm, send out an email, whatever you want inside of Genetec.
Cool. So any sensor.
Yes.
Okay, so let's end off with what's your favorite tip and trick? Like what brings you joy?
Probably visual tracking. It's definitely time consuming to set up. But once you actually have it set up, it makes it very easy to actually follow somebody from camera to camera within the system.
All right, so I don't see more questions. I do see some poll replies, and I appreciate that. So I'll be in touch with you, to everybody who attended here today, get a bit more feedback if you can give it to me, get your mailing address for this book if you'd like it. And I hope this was helpful. I'd love to hear. And I really, really appreciate you joining us today. And Adam, thank you so much for that very thorough demo.
No problem. Thank you, everybody, for attending.
Okay, have a good day.
Bye-bye.